Hello, great elite. How you guys doing? Uh, we'll just go ahead to bring more further questions as regard the things or the questions you will likely see in this year's exam. Like I said, there are 10 questions you I want you to remember before this exam. Like I've discussed one before. Now today we'll be observing like two or three as the case may be. So we'll just get started ASAP. Now this question will be coming from the 79 Constitution. Now, anytime, please don't forget, anytime you see in your exam, okay, as a president or before you can be elected as a president, what year must you have attained before you can be elected as a president? Please, when you see this question, before a president can be elected in Nigeria based on 1979 constitution, you must have attained 35 years and above. So you must be in 35 years and above. So please, when you see this question, look for option that contain 35 years and above or 35 years. You feel me? But beside that, how would you know that there's another important question I want you to always remember as well that concern this 1979? And the question is, who was the first, you understand, executive president of Nigeria? The first executive president of Nigeria, his name is Shehu Shagari. Okay, so please don't forget that. You see different options. You see that of Shehu Shagari. He is the first executive president of Nigeria. You see option with Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not the first executive president. Rather, Nnamdi Azikiwe was the first indigenous, okay, and only general governor in Nigeria history. Not just that, the first head of state in Nigeria and the first president of Nigeria. I did not say the first executive president. You understand? You see option as well like the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. You know, Balewa was never the first executive president. Balewa was just the first and only prime minister in Nigeria history. The prime minister is called the man of Pramos Inter Pares, which we can call the head of government, the chief executive, the first executive, leader of the majority party, as the case may be. And what other thing you will see in your option will be Yakubu Gowon. Please, you shouldn't chase that as your answer. Alright. Sometimes when they ever ask you who was the first military head of state in Nigeria, then military head of state first in Nigeria, you can choose Johnson Agui Uransi. Alright, so beside that, let's observe little discourse on this 1979 constitution. Okay, now let's go ahead. This 1979 constitution is very important for you to know it, and the reason is, like I said, a set question over time from this aspect. But what is it all about? The 1979 constitution basically gave room to what we call the Second Republic. It was basically the Second Republic. It was from 1979 to the year 1983. Okay. Now, this Second Republic produced the first executive president, like we said, the Shehu Shagari. And before this Second Republic, 1979, the 1978 political party or multi-party system was accepted in Nigeria by Olusegun Obasanjo, and as at that time, before the 1979 constitution, there was a electoral commission called FEDECO, headed by a guy called Make Ane. So that FEDECO recognized about 5 political parties that involved the MPN, the UPN, the MPP, the GMPP, and even the PROP. You feel me? So this political party, the one that was having the highest seat at that time, the 7th seat, and the party that also produced the first executive president was the MPN. Do you understand? MPN was having the majority of the seats. So Shehu Shagari was from that party called MPN. When that 1979 constitution was initiated, 1979 changed everything. The lawmaking body we have in Nigeria now called the National Assembly. It started from 1979 constitution. They also brought about what we call the federal character, which you don't need to forget that in your exam. In the 1979 constitution, they brought about what we call tenure of office. That every president should spend about 4 years in office. Maybe they can still add. Maybe you come back from the election, you can spend highest 8 years, if you mean. And beside that, the constitution also allow power to be shared among the 3 arms of government, which we call separation of power. So 1979 constitution allows separation of power. But think about it. During the First Republic, there was never separation of power. It was a parliamentary system. In parliamentary system, power is fused. There's fusion of power. And when fusion of power is involved, it's usually between the executive and the legislature. Do you understand? When you talk about military as well, it was fusion of power. Fusion of power involved the executive and the legislature. Do you understand? But in the 1979 constitution, it was different. It was no longer fusion of power, it was separation of power, which was also in line with what we call check and balance. It means that the 1979 constitution also allowed the check and balance. Do you understand? But beside that, the 1979 constitution also allowed other things, from what we have saying, it means the 1979 constitution gave room to what we call presidential system of government, which we are practicing today in Nigeria. You understand? So these are the important things I want you to remember as regard the 1979 constitution. But in the long run, that 1979 constitution that gave room to the Second Republic, the Second Republic lasted, from that 1979 to the year 1983. But in the year 1983, although another election was conducted, they attracted an extra party called NAP NAP. So as a 1983 election, the political party that were involved was no longer 5 or 6. So it was now MPN, UPN, MPP, GMPP, PROP, and the NAP. Those were the party that were in that 1983 election. But because of a lot of things that happened, that the Shehu Shagari never contributed money to OAU, even did not even attend the meeting of OAU, one in Tripoli, in Libya, and one in Nairobi, Kenya. And in the long run, the Muhammadu Buhari administration, military administration, took over the Second Republic in 1983, December 31st. Because I guess Muhammadu Buhari thought that the administration of Shehu Shagari was not for the favor of the country. You know what I mean? So this is what I want you to know about the 1979 Constitution, all right? And I want you to remember this. Hello, great elite. Based on what you just listened to, based on the explanation you just listened to, answer the 2 questions in the background. Okay, check whether you understand by answering these 2 questions in the background in the comment section. All right, please share it among your friends so that they can learn from it. You can and share it among your friends, like I said, so let them learn from it, and ensure you comment, because that is very important. It will help you to evaluate yourself to know if you really understood what was discussed. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.